So the Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, has called for the boss of P&O Ferries, Peter Hebblethwaite, to resign after he admitted to MPs his company deliberately broke the law by not consulting with 800 staff before sacking them. Let's have a look at what he said.
Well, the Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, joins us now. Good morning to you. I mean, you've said that you think he should resign over this. What more can you do to tackle this? Because he's admitted there that they broke the law by not consulting. And actually, to make it worse, he said he'd do it all again.
Yeah, it's brazen, breathtaking arrogance, and of course he needs to go. But what can we do? We can change the law and tighten the law and tighten a whole bunch of different things which relate to the way that maritime workers operate, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to come to Parliament this week and close off all the loopholes that they.
Will that help P&O workers, though? Sorry to interrupt. Will it help P&O workers, or will that just help this situation not happen again in the future?
Well, I mean, these workers, as he explains in part of that interview he was in, where he was giving evidence, they essentially paid them off for their silence. That's what they deliberately went and did. So I actually happen to know, because I've been speaking to some of them, that some of them have already taken up other jobs, so they may not get those particular ones back. I suspect they'll get some of them back, although I imagine they'll have a rather jaded view of their employer as P&O, particularly if the current boss stays in place, which is why I said what I said to you this morning, that I think he'll have to go. But we will make sure that the laws are changed to stop them using loopholes like flagging their ships in Cyprus in order to avoid and evade British law and not give notice of what they were doing and not talk to the workers and the unions. They're completely outrageous, and we will not let it stand.
With regard to how they have treated their staff, with regard they have treated this business and the flagrant corporate greed that was dripping in his evidence yesterday, which was just astonishing, as you said, to watch. Why can't the government remove their operating licence and force them to make changes, to force him out? Because clearly it is rotten at the top of this business.
Well, the ships are grounded at the moment. I've done that by asking the Maritime Coast Guard Agency to go through with a fine toothpick, as I think people would expect, knowing that there are entirely new crews, in order to recertify their safety to sail. So effectively, they're not going anywhere at the minute. But without revealing what I'll come to Parliament with next week, there are 8 different steps that I'll be taking, which includes changes in law, changes in the way that permits operate, changes in the way that ports behave in terms of their responsibility. We cannot have a situation where the minimum wage is paid on shore, but just because you're at sea, but within the UK economic zone, which is 12 miles out, suddenly you can say, well, don't worry, we'll just employ people under the minimum wage, significantly under, and sorry, a crew, after your decades of service in many cases, you're out on your ear. And that's exactly what they've done. It's breathtaking, unfair, and we will not allow it to stand.
So you've grounded them at the moment. Will you be able to sort of reassure people that use P&O Ferries, or some of those staff, that this CEO, Peter Hebblethwaite, won't be still in charge once that grounding stops, once they have put into place the elements that you feel that they need to do?
I can call on this boss to go. In the end, they're a private company. I would think that 2 things are going to happen here. One, people will be voting with their feet. I mean, would you book a P&O trip now? Well, you can't right the second anyway, but people are going to think twice about it. I certainly wouldn't right now. Secondly, they are going to now have to work very, very hard to bring people back to work for them, because particularly under this management, under this boss, who in their right mind is going to go back and say, "Oh, OK, I'll have that job back with that boss in place." I know, by the way, that on last Thursday, other companies, blue chip companies, were going down to Dover and snapping up these employees. They're good people. They're very hard workers. And, P&O have made a momentous error here of judgment, both about how the British people react, the workers react, the government will react, and we're not putting up with it. And as I say, that's why there'll be a package of measures. They need to think again, and they need to probably clean out their stables before getting this company back on track.
Why wasn't more done to prevent this happening? I mean, you were mentioned yesterday, weren't you? And they were saying that you had a conversation with DP World Chief Executive, the owner of P&O, in November 2021, where they had talked to you about needing to make changes to the businesses. So surely there would have been the feeling that something was coming, changes were going to happen, they were going to have to make cuts to staff in order to stay afloat.
Well, look, we all know every business was going through difficulties with coronavirus, and the outrageous thing is we actually supported them through it, including through furlough, to keep these employees in place. And just be absolutely clear, they certainly didn't tell me that they were going to break the law, obviously. What they've done is deliberately to keep this from ministers. By using a Cyprus flagging, they didn't have to provide the 45 days notice that they would normally need to provide. So they've gone out their way to obfuscate and get around these laws, and that can't be right. And you ask the question, why couldn't something be done? We understand that sometimes, and particularly during coronavirus, businesses need to change. We expect them by law to communicate that with workers, to sit down with their unions, and to follow the law. We do not expect them, as the boss of P&O said yesterday, to brazenly go and deliberately break the law. So, and that's what they've done, and we will not let it rest there.
OK, let's come on to other matters, of course. We've got Dr. Amir, is one of our team, is out in Warsaw, and he's been looking at the refugee centre there and the overwhelming impact of those refugees coming into the refugee centre and the medical difficulties that they're having trying to cope with the thousands of people that are going through a day. 150,000 people, as you know, you are one of them, in the UK have put their names down to welcome refugee families. You've managed to find a family. You've been connected up with a family. What can you tell us about the family that you're bringing to the UK? And equally, because a lot of our viewers are very frustrated about this, Mr. Shapps, how did you find them? Because a lot of people have signed up, but they can't connect up with the family.
Yeah. So, first of all, this family is literally a family that contacted me on Facebook, along with a number of others. And I still have a number of others that I've passed around to other neighbours and groups in the community who are looking for families. We have spoken to them, and one other eventually came down with this family. It's a mother, a son who's 6, a grandmother, so it's 3 generations, who's 75, and their dog, who's called Max. So that's the family that will be coming over. There are now organisations and charities who are helping to link up British families with Ukrainians who want to come over. I'm in daily contact with the family who are in Krakow at the moment in Poland, these things are by necessity not sometimes entirely straightforward. The mum and the child have international passports. They are therefore able to come over much quicker. The mother today is going to a visa centre because she only has a national ID card, and so she will need to get a visa first. And I'm hoping next week this will all be resolved, and we look forward to welcoming them. But advice, I think, to other people who want to also welcome Ukrainians to come and stay with them in their home. It's 6 months as a minimum commitment, and you can now quite easily just Google and find sites which will help match you with families who want to come here.
Did this family
I think the generosity of the British people has been extraordinary on this.
Mr. Shapps, did this family know that you're a government minister?
Well, I think they will have noticed it from my Facebook page. So by this point, they do. I don't actually know when they contacted me whether they did or didn't, but I think they will have spotted it by now.
It's going to be it's going to be interesting for them, but equally for you and your family to welcome them into your home. There are thousands and thousands of people trying to do it. It's the connecting up that is becoming very difficult, isn't it?
Well, as you can imagine, we had the conversation as a family about this, and and of course it means the house is more crowded, and there's less room for a desk to study at. But every time we came to the end of the conversation, we went, but look at what's happening to these people. Look at what's happening to their home. Our family's from Kyiv, so that they'd be right in the capital, still in Ukraine, and you just want to do something that will make a meaningful difference, even though it's just for one family.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I know we've got to let you go very shortly, but I just wanted to ask on the cost of living crisis, because of course the fallout from the spring statement continues. We know today that 1.3 million people, including 500,000 children here in the UK, are going to be plunged into absolute poverty from April because of the situation with cost of living crisis. Are you happy with that? Because we know the Prime Minister has said that more needs to be done. Rishi Sunak has said this is all we've got at the moment. How can we be in a country where, we were hearing earlier, people feel like they can't even have potatoes because they haven't got the money to heat them up, to cook them?
Yeah, I mean, and actually, interestingly, this bit of the conversation is actually linked to that last bit, in as much as we already had the problems of inflation coming through from the end of coronavirus and the economy getting going again globally, and now we've got Putin invading. and the price of petrol at £1.60, £1.70 is really hitting people hard. But I think yesterday we saw, Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, come forward with that 5p off petrol immediately, off petrol.
But that comes down to the petrol stations. But what you know, Mr. Shapps, is the petrol stations don't necessarily have to pass that 5p on. That's down to their discretion, isn't it? I mean,
you know what? You're absolutely right, and it's so important that that they do. I will be speaking to. In fact, I was with BP yesterday. I will be speaking to the petrol retailers and asking them to make sure they pass it on. But I've got a request of your viewers as well.
Yeah.
Because viewers know you see big differentials, particularly between the supermarkets and petrol stations, but you see big differentials. Please help us put pressure on them by shopping around as well and not paying those higher prices, particularly where they fail to pass on this 5p cut. So we'll be watching very, very carefully, and viewers can help on this, actually.
OK, Mr. Shapps, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you for joining us this morning.